podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live. Hello, welcome back to the Claret Blue podcast. My name is Dan Rolinson and I'm joined by Mat Kendrick for another post-match debrief. It's the fourth defeat in a row for Aston Villa. Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 4. A capitulation in the second half, an embarrassment, a shambles, a pathetic result, whatever superlative you want to go with to describe this afternoon or this evening. Once again, we sit here and pretty much copy and paste what we said last week and not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think the capitulation, I'm not saying it can be excused, but it's probably understandable after the Villa reduced to 10 men. I thought long before then, Villa were poor.
I actually thought we had a little bit of a spell, but I think it was 2-1 with 10 men and thought we're still in this game. Like, we're not like dead and buried here. I'm not saying that we were going to come back, but I wasn't like thinking, oh, well, this is an absolute write-off here. We still had half an hour to go and I thought there was a chance we might be able to potentially nick one back with West Ham starting to give away sloppy passes and stuff. But then their goals all very easy as well. Like, I don't know how detailed we're going to go with this. If we're going to try and break down everything in order, I imagine it'll be a bit all over the place, but far too easy for West Ham and arguably didn't really have to get out of second gear at any point really in that second half. And that's probably why Villa got back into it a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought West Ham coasted to victory, really. I thought we scored a well-worked goal, which I thought was out of the blue, to be honest. Yeah. I'm not sure that we obviously deserved it because we scored it, but there was no sense that goal was coming. But West Ham just thought, okay, all right then, better go down the other end and score another one.
And that is becoming a habit, isn't it? Villa scoring and then conceding straight afterwards. That's happened a couple of times now. Yeah,
it's frustrating as hell because the success that Villa had last season, and it was success to finish 11th in your second season in the Premier League after narrowly avoiding relegation the first year. The success that they had was built on having that solid kind of back five, I suppose, if you include in the goalie as well. And it just seems to have disappeared. It just seems to have crumbled. Now, we know that the change of formation, undermined that a little bit. I thought it was, we know it was overdue that Villa returned to a back four today, but it still surprised me massively that Mings was dropped, to be honest. I think, listen, it can pour over lots of different performances, but I think that was the one mistake. I think dropping Tyrone Mings.
Do you think that was a mistake?
I think it was a mistake, yeah, because I think he's the glue that holds Villa together. Even when he's having a bad personal performance, I think people can underestimate what he can do in terms of galvanising effect. I thought the other mistake was bringing Ashley Young on to centre mid. I really can't understand it. I can't understand it. He's never he played there for Villa once or a couple of times before, but he's not a central midfielder. If anything, bring him on at left back because Target's having a mare again at the moment. And I just think that we shot ourselves in the foot today. Let's not pretend West Ham are a very good team. They've got consistency of selection. You know what I mean? They've not had as much disruption as Villa have had in terms of chopping and changing all the time. But if you look at the likes of Declan Rice, I suppose. What's the guy? Is it Soucek? I never pronounce it correctly. If you look at them, the amount of the composure they have on the ball, two proper defensive midfielders who can not only win the ball but can use it wisely. I'm not sure we've got that quality in there. I thought Nakamba was decent considering he's not played much at all. I thought he tried to be energetic, tried to get around, but he's not got that range of passing. He's not as good on the ball as either of those two that I've just mentioned. But it was just ramshackle. It's the first time I've been to Villa Park this season and expected us to lose and thought I'd be happy with a draw. And that might be, that might be because West Ham are flying high and now in the Champions League positions. But it's also because I fear how ragged and disjointed we are at the moment.
There's loads to go out there from what you just said. A good couple of minutes there that I'm probably going to clip out on social. We could probably just end the podcast here, to be honest, because I don't really know what else to add. I think you've got it all spot on, to be honest. A few comments coming through as you were talking then. Someone said, the lad on the left's a dreamer. We've spent millions and we're still rubbish. I haven't even spoken yet. I haven't said anything. I'm not anti-Smith or pro-Smith at this point. I also don't like that the arguments that we're going to see in the comments on social media in the coming days and weeks, or however long this Aston Villa exists for, that anyone who's anti-Smith now is going to go, look, told you so, told you we were rubbish. So almost like bragging the fact that they were right, that they've called that Villa were poor, and the pro-Smith are going to adamantly back their man. I've always said Smith in, and this is just going to be the conversation until a decision is made either way, isn't it? Until he gets sacked, this is all will consume Villa fans now, whether it's Smith in or Smith out. I also still don't think sacking managers is the right thing to do, because I've yet to see anyone with a realistic name to change it around. To be honest, I just don't see what. And so I think if there was a manager available who's better than Dean Smith and who wanted to come to Villa, I think the owners would have clicked their fingers and just gone and got them now. So I don't think that person is out there as it stands.
I think the worry.
Go on.
Sorry, go
on. I don't think that's the answer. However, losing 4 in a row, and I think if we lose again on Friday against Southampton going into international break, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the last time we've just seen Smith at Villa Park. I don't think he'll be there for the game afterwards if we lose 5 in a row.
I think I'm probably getting ahead of myself there. I think the interesting thing about the big debate about who could do better is that at the moment, and this is not me talking Villa down. I think, think and believe that Villa should be, really ambitious and really bold. But at the moment, if you're a brilliant available manager who's Premier League ready, you're possibly going to have, and I know Solskjaer won a game at the weekend, but you're possibly going to have Man United, Tottenham, Newcastle with the massive investment that they've got. Villa are probably going to be 4th in the queue. And also,
if one of those clubs gets a manager from another Premier League side, that job becomes available as well somewhere else.
Well, that's it. And I think 4th in the queue of the names that we've heard talking about, who are we talking? Graham Potter? And is Graham Potter going to be that upgrade that's going to kick Villa from here to here?
It's a massive unknown. That's why I'm not massively convinced to change manager. If the owners decide to do it, then absolutely, I'd back the owner's decision, because I'll support the club, and whoever's there is who I'm going to support until they're no longer there. That's why I'm still on Smith's side to an extent, because he's currently the manager. He's the manager of Aston Villa. I have to back him, because me saying Smith out isn't going to change that. So in my head, it doesn't matter whether I'm Smith in or Smith out, because I can't change it until it happens. Potter feels very much like, I'm not comparing him in style, but it very much feels like the Lambert scenario, that we'll be playing Brighton in a few weeks, and it's like, he's the opposition manager, but probably could do a job for Villa. But then what, he comes here and we finish 12th, 8th and 15th, and in 3 years' time we sack Potter and we go, he was never good enough. And we just go round and round in the cycle of looking at managers and thinking, they'd be quite good, and they come and they're not. Unless you're going to go for someone like Conte or Mourinho, that massive step up from Smith to that, like you just said, to take you up the league instantly. I'm not quite sure what's out there, and I don't know whether they will. But as I just said, losing 4 in a row, 5 in a row, 6 in a row, the owners won't stand for that, and they will change it. It'll be a massive gamble when they do, though, because Gerrard, John Terry, Lampard, I personally don't see it, but would be delighted to be proved wrong with any of those names, if and when Smith is gone.
Dean Smith's got to be. He's got to find the solutions, hasn't he? And I think that's the concern at the moment, that he doesn't seem to have the answers. He's come out post-match and said that it wasn't a 4-1 victory, and that, a couple of breakaway goals have killed us, and the dodgy decision to send off Esri Concert has killed us, which I agree. But I was pretty convinced, maybe it's because I'm a boring old pessimist, but I was pretty convinced within the first 15 minutes of that match that we're going to lose it. And when we kicked off the second half, even with 11 versus 11, I turned around and said to my nephew, I'd probably take a 2-1 defeat here, to be honest, because I can just see it getting worse and worse. I think the worry with Smith is, and it's we can all be wise after the event, but the worry with Smith is, who's he leaning on at the moment? Because we know he's got Craig Shakespeare alongside him. Craig Shakespeare doesn't suddenly become a bad coach overnight. Dean Smith doesn't become a bad coach overnight. But those two people that you've lost, Richard O'Kelly and John Terry, from the coaching team are clearly big absences. I don't know. I'm like you. I can, before today, I thought it's a lot of hype and nonsense, and we'll weather this storm. We'll get over it. We'll get a couple of wins, and it'll be back. Everything will be heading forwards again. I just feel like we're stuck in a horrible rut at the moment, and not only are we not playing well, but it's that cliche of things going against us as well. That sending off Ollie Watkins' header coming back off the bar that might have been enough to sneak us, way back into that game. Those first two goals. I mean, perhaps I'm being harsh on him, but
Martinez, I agree.
I think he saved I think he saves those kind of shots normally, and whether he's obviously had some issues this week with his personal life, but it's those kind of little margins that are going against us. And if that snowballs, that builds up into negative momentum, that can claim managers eventually.
It's the manner of the defeats, isn't it? After you beat Man United, we've lifted this curse of never beating Man United and put a fresh curse on us that we will never win a game since. You beat Man United but have to lose every other game since we've taken that deal. Momentum should be high after that. Confidence should be high, and then you go and lose to Tottenham, who are average at best. Let's face it. Throw away against Wolves, and since that last 15 minutes of Wolves, we've been abject in both games. So that's what's the maths off the top of my head? 200 minutes of football or something. 2 full games, Arsenal today, and that last part of Wolves. We just do nothing. Even from the kickoff, we've had 4 attempts at kickoff today, and it's back to the centre back, lofts it down into the channels and out for throwing. Every time the same. It's such a basic thing to kind of pick out. But that's the chance to reset after the goal. Right, let's calm it down, and we just blast it out for a throw-in, trying to our only option is ping it up into a flank, try and hold it up, and then we'll just wait and see what happens off the second ball. That seems to be our tactic at the moment, and it's not even Leon Bailey is the Jack Grealish, give it to him and let him do his magic. We don't even really seem to do that.
Well, let's give it to him.
That's what I mean. When he gets it, the odd flick and the little roulette here and there, he looks a nice flashy player. But again, I'm being harsh here probably because we were rubbish, but he's had 60 minutes today where he's not really done a fat lot. But we're not getting it to him in the sense that we did with Grealish. So it's a one-man team. I'll just give it to Bailey and he'll do something, because it's just lump it forward and hope we win a flick on. That's not good enough.
Yeah, well, I think if you're playing neck-high balls down the flank to your two wingers, you're asking a lot of them.
Also, against West Ham, a massively physical side that win everything in the air, while we're playing long ball and pumping it into the box, and the long throw-ins as well. I know we were all for that when it works for Danny Ings in one of the first couple of games of the season. But that's now become a thing that, here we go, another long throw. Leon Bailey taking long throws that aren't even that long, and we're lofting it into Soucek and Soufal and whoever, 6-foot giants, just winning everything in the air. And it just feels like very one-dimensional. Right, let's just punt it up and we'll try and win a flick on. There doesn't seem to be anything more than that. And I know you've said we're in a rut and it's hard to get yourself out of that when you lack in confidence, but that seems very amateurish to me to play that way.
Yeah, it's who's brave enough in there to want to take the ball, because from kickoff, it's going back to Matt Targett, who's giving it to Courtney Hall, who's knocking it back to Emi Martinez, and who's going to come and take the ball off the back 4 and start to make things happen. And I don't think there was that. I don't think anybody was brave enough to come and show for the ball, not often enough. So you are going long. You're going long all the time. I thought Watkins did okay, to be honest. I thought he did okay. He was having to chase a lot of nothing, if I'm honest. But I thought he did okay.
The keeper a couple of times and stuff like that. And again, things like that sent the tone. I think the goalkeeper rolled it out for a corner, and he's trying to clear it. And little things like that kind of get us all up for it.
Though, wasn't he? The way I call it.
Yeah, exactly. Me and my dad were saying off that the free kick from the red card that Conser got, almost let him play on, let him have the goal scoring opportunity, because let's risk it. And then we sat there and we'd probably have scored though, wouldn't either way it's going. So let's be happy with the free kick.
I think
I don't know what to say anymore.
Something's got to change, hasn't it? So either Dean Smith changes it or he finds it changed for him. I think we're into that territory now whereby it's too close for comfort. The relegation zone is too close for comfort. And I know it's congested down there. And I know we're only 4 or 5 points 8th, shall we say, but we're 3 points off the bottom 3.
10 points from 10 games isn't good enough, is it? For where we want to be, we'll be projected to get less points than we got last season, and all the way through, we've always said if Villa take a step back, we've made season on season progress. The minute they start to potentially go backwards, yeah, fair enough. If the owners want to change it, I'll back that decision. And we're on course to do less than we did last season, unless we suddenly pull our finger out. Some of the anti-Dean Smith stuff I don't quite agree with. I'm seeing stuff in the comments, things like there's too many coaches on the touchline, like who's making the decisions. But you look at West Ham's bench and they've got 3 or 4 coaches around David Moyes as well. So I don't really buy stuff like that. Someone just said Smith can't do tactics, but it's like when we win games and we're doing well, we agree that we have got a game plan, doing things the right way. Like we've got this far with Dean Smith, so to all of a sudden say he's not good enough, just don't buy stuff like that. But we are undeniably in this rut of bad form, and it does feel like watching on now that they don't know how to get out of it. So I don't think it's that Smith isn't good tactically or the squad's not good enough. They're just in this position and they can't find anything within themselves to get out of it. And one of the things that's always been a positive of Villa in the last year or two is that they seem to have got this well close together, tight knit group, good mentality, good training ground. I just don't even get the sense that that's there anymore. I don't know whether that's just I'm reading too much into defeats, but body language doesn't look great. Players coming off and looking distressed and arguing and stuff like that. I know you're losing games, and I also wouldn't want to see them happy and post on social media and being happy about losing either. So it's a fine line I'm asking them to tread, but it doesn't seem like there's that squad like mentality there that we're used to.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people saying that the Buendia storming down the tunnel was another example of Smith losing the dressing room. I'm not sure I buy that, to be honest. I think that says more about Buendia. I was really disappointed that he did that. Anybody knows why that substitution's been made. Yeah. You've just had your centre half sent off. What you're going to do? Of course, you're going to bring another defender back on, and Buendia was the obvious, fall guy. And I don't think that sits well. You sit, unless you're freezing cold and you've got a coat that's waiting for you in the dressing room, fine. But you sit in the dugout and you support the team like everybody else. It's a squad game. So that I found that disappointing.
He did come back out though. James Doyle says Buendia went to get his coat and a drink, didn't he? He did come back out, but he wasn't happy though. You could tell he wasn't happy. I was sitting right in front of the dugout. He did look like he stormed off. But again, like if he came off happy to be off, we'd all be going, "You've come off when we're losing the game. Like, why isn't he bothered?" So, like I said, it's a fine line. I want them to be bothered with the fact that we're losing games, but that tight-knit kind of community feel at Bodymoor Heath doesn't seem to be there from the outside looking in. I don't go to Bodymoor. I don't see what it's like in training. Dean Smith says, they're a great bunch of lads and we all believe we can get out of this and turn it around. But from the outside looking in, when I go to Villa Park every couple of weeks, I don't see that mentality there in recent weeks, to be honest.
No, I think, to me, does Dean Smith know what the best 11 is now? And can we get them on the field? So, what?
Let's talk about the players. Let's talk about the players, because I said last week, and people were having a go at me in the comments for it when it was off air. So I said something like, I understand people saying Dean Smith out, but it's not Dean Smith who isn't jumping at corners like John McGinn wasn't last week against Wolves. It's not his fault that Matt Targett is playing sloppy passes every 5 minutes, but I understand that it's Dean Smith's job to pull a player off if they're not performing as well. You can't do that when you're Ash Young playing left into central midfield, though, can you? Which is again a strange decision. So, I understand that Smith's got to do better with the squad that he's got, but I don't know what our best 11 is. The players are also suffering with that lack of confidence, and when things aren't going right, things don't go right, do they?
I don't know. Let's go through it. Best 11: Martinez in goal, Matty Cash. To me, Konza, Mings, and it probably is still Target, to be honest, unless we think Ashley Young. But potentially, I think that one's up for grabs for me.
I actually thought Young was all right in central midfield. Or he just shot to right wing, didn't he? I think towards the end as well. I thought he was okay. But he isn't a central midfielder. But what do you do? Bring on Chukwuemeka, 17-year-old? I don't know. I don't have the answers for this.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a difficult one. But if you've got a central midfielder on the bench and the vacancy comes up, I can understand it. I think probably without Mings in the team, he thought he needs experience and leaders in there, and Young was probably a better bet than Chukwuemeka in that sense. But yeah, so where were we? So that's the back five. Then your back four plus your goalie. And 3 and a 3 again, I think we probably agreed is the best way forward. So Watkins gets the nod over Ings for now, presume. Well, was Ings injured or?
I don't know. I've not seen anything. I've come back and not seen a single thing. Him and Louise were just out, and I assume it's injured or illness.
So then, is Buendia and Bailey your two best options?
I think Louise, Ramsey, McGinn is your best midfield three. Sanson is probably technically better midfield than Ramsey, but he's never fit, so he's not even really part of the conversation. And it's a front three of Bailey, Watkins, and Ings, isn't it? Which is £100 million worth of talent playing up front. Like that should be a good side on paper. Someone just said Matty Cash FC. Matty Cash was good today. Probably the one standout positive. Burst forward on the right a few times, but so what? Almost, you know what I mean? We lost 4-1. Like he was good, but I don't really care. That the whole squad's got to be better. Target on the other side was horrific, I thought.
Yeah, you need more than 2 or 3 players to play well if you're going to compete in this division. And it's just, I'm not saying I told you so, but when people, Christian Purslow has given the big speech, hasn't he, saying we ahead of the curve, if you like. When we knew Grealish was going, that we knew we couldn't replace him with one player. We replaced him with 3 players, and the timing of the Ings announcement, and we'd already signed Buendia and we'd already signed Bailey. There's a real feel-good factor to say, right, all aboard, we're off to Europe. Now, I wasn't quite convinced then, but neither did I think we'd have a squad who would lose the last 4 games the way they've lost them. So I think we're not quite as good as people thought we would be or thought we should be. We're clearly not. But still, to me, I think 11th or 10th this season would still be progress. I know 11th is exactly the same place as last season, but we were Jack Grealish FC for 3 years. So 11th or 10th is still progress. Is that achievable still? Of course it is. But how much longer do we say we're going to turn a corner, we're going to turn a corner, we're going to turn a corner before an average disappointing season becomes an alarming crisis season? So I think the last couple of weeks, the way we started against Arsenal, how flat most of tonight's performance was, those 2 things have made me think, see, if it was just going to be an average season of consolidation, Grealish is gone, bedding in new players, we're still going to be somewhere between 9th and 13th. I'd take that. Now, I know a lot of Villa fans wouldn't take it because we want to kick on. We want to get back to where we came from a decade or more ago. I'd take somewhere 9th to 13th. But my concern now is that the more this goes on, the more confidence erodes, that it's going to become more of a panic season than that. So the strong Dean Smith out brigade won't just accept it becoming a consolidation season. Anything less than 8th in the Premier League, they want him gone. So I don't think we're going to get to that stage. So I think even if Villa come out of this rut and find a way forward, unless they find it at that pace and momentum, there's still going to be these murmurings and this kind of hand rubbing when we lose a game. I don't like that. But equally, I can see now more than I could a month ago that there's a little few kind of cracks appearing, and it's the manager's job somehow to put sticky plasters on them or to find proper solutions on them quickly.
Well, it's how long the owners last, isn't it? With that formula, do we have to actually slip into the bottom 3 before they make a change, or do you just look at the formula at the moment and go, yeah, if we lose 1 more, if we lose 2 more, then we make the change? I mean, that's their decision, isn't it? Which is why I don't really see the point being too. Someone in the comments just said I've got no backbone, so I won't say all my thoughts. I'm bang in the middle. My opinion makes no difference. I hate to break it to you, but me being pro Dean Smith doesn't keep him in the job, and being anti Dean Smith doesn't get him sacked either. So he's the manager of Aston Villa as of tonight. So he has my support when I go to Villa Park. That's as far as it goes for me. I can see that he's not good enough at the moment, but I'm willing to give him the chance to make it right, because that's what the owners of Aston Villa have decided to do. It's their money, it's their neck on the line. arguably it doesn't make any difference to my life whether Dean Smith stays or goes, does it? Because it's not my decision to make. While he's here, I'll back him. If they sack him, we move on to the next guy. And whoever ex-manager is gets my same support in the way that Smith has. That's how I approach it.
I think the big thing for me is that if the owners do decide to pull the plug sometime in the next month or so, they don't want a short, sharp shock manager. For what? So we can go from 15th to 10th. They want to make sure that the next person they appoint can pick up this project and have the 3 years worth of progress that they've enjoyed since they've been here. So that's a big decision, because we've already said before earlier in the podcast that you're fishing in a very narrow pool
with competition
to not only get somebody who's available, who wants to come to Villa, who can have an instant impact in that dressing room, but can then go and build something, build the next stage.
Like I said before, if they're one of those managers, Man United, Spurs, I can't remember one of the others who you said, potentially Arsenal, Arteta's always got talk of leaving, hasn't he, as well? If any of one of those managers ends up going, and a Brendan Rodgers leaves or Graham Potter leaves Brighton to go to Leicester or whatever managerial merry-go-round it is, then Leicester are also looking for a club, looking for a manager who are in a better position than us. Brighton at the moment in a better position than us. So it's not just as easy as going Bruce out, Conte in. Because if you think that, I'll disagree wholeheartedly, because it wouldn't come, it wouldn't happen. Allardyce says Jason. So people in the comments said no, Conte. I said.
I thought you said Bruce out, Conte in.
Oh, sorry if I did. Yeah, well, might have done. Yeah, Smith out, Conte in. It's not going to happen. Jason O'Brien just said Allardyce ? No. Jimmy Kerr said Watford just got Ranieri. He's better than Smith. He's not. He isn't. You want Ranieri managing Aston Villa? Nuno, Rafa? I just don't see it. I don't see it, because that's not the fix that Villa want. If they make the manager change soon, it has to be someone like Sam Allardyce. Really? Sam Allardyce? I mean, we're going to go round and round, aren't we? Steven Gerrard, please, says Daniel O'Connor. It's a big risk, isn't it? Something like that. Lampard at Chelsea, Rooney at Derby, going for someone that's not experienced. I don't know. I just don't know. Is Steven Gerrard a better manager than Dean Smith in the Premier League? People saying that Dean Smith's only got experience in League One. Steven Gerrard's got no Premier League experience either. We're just going to go round and round in circles, aren't we? And until the owners, this is what I mean. This is why I don't get too involved with it, because if the owners don't sack him, this whole conversation is relevant to everybody watching this, because we've got no power here. We cannot change it. So you have to support who's there. This is why I don't get being so anti the manager or anti a player, because you can't change it.
The only way it'll change is if, and I'm not encouraging people to do this, but it'll change if Villa Park decides to change it, in terms of the impact the supporters can have. And, Dean Smith out is trending on Twitter today. There's a few grumbles around me from fellow misery guts around me who were, having a bit of a moan and a shout saying time had come. But that still doesn't seem to have gathered enough momentum. I didn't stay around very long after the final whistle, but I presume there weren't chants of Smith out. I presume Smith wasn't booed down the touchline, was he? So I don't know. I think for me, if and when the owners decide to pull the plug or chop the manager's head off or whatever the thing is, then they will only do that when they have confidently sounded out, done their due diligence, know that the next manager is available. And that sounds a little bit kind of cloak and dagger and Machiavellian, going behind people's backs. But these are astute businessmen who I don't think they're going to sack Smith and then think, for example, do a Tottenham when they got rid of Mourinho and then were left floundering until they got their 74th choice in and then chased him out a month later. I don't think they'll do that. I think when the time comes to pull the trigger, they'll have pretty much got their man lined up. You know what I mean? Almost having waiting in arrivals before Dean Smith leaves the departure lounge. And
if that is Friday night and we lose to Southampton, they go, right, international break. We know we're getting rid of Smith. We know we can go and get Potter. He'll be in for the next game. Fine. I'm on board with that because the owners have decided that's what they want to do. But until then, I just think you've got to back the manager and hope he changes it. At the minute, though, I just don't know how they can. I don't know how we beat Southampton. I don't know how we beat whoever's after that. It's at the stage where you start looking at it going, I don't know where the next point's coming from, because we're so abject of anything at the moment. And that's disappointing.
First thing you do is keep a clean sheet.
Yeah. What happened to that? Clean sheets and good defensive displays? That was
Aston last season when Martinez was on to win the Golden Glove. Or whatever. We got, talking about, has he broken Brad Friedel's record? Blah, 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 blah. I'd take one clean sheet, let them ride 10 in a row or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Friday night, it's going to at least, ruin the weekend nice and early again, can't they? Potentially next week, rather than ruining it on a Sunday when the clocks go back and I've got to go back to work.
Last thing I just want to touch on, because you mentioned at the start, we just brushed over it. I just wanted to get your opinion on the Mings stuff. So, again, don't even care what the comments say at this page, but we've obviously been very Mings, pro-Mings, I guess people would say, or Mings apologists, or whatever you want to call it. Him getting dropped was a surprise, though. I didn't think Smith would do that. Now, what sign does that send out, I guess? Is that I've got no faith in my captain? Does that make Smith look weak? Or is it I don't care if you are captain, I will drop you if you're not playing well?
No, I think anybody's fair game if they're not playing up to the required standard. But that supposes that you've got a big queue of really brilliant defenders to come in. Twanzebe has had his moments this season where he's not been on it. I think Cons is a better player with Mings alongside him. I don't think it says I don't trust my captain anymore. I just think it's Smith deemed that Mings wasn't of the required standard, so dropped him. He'll be back in. He was back in today, and he'll be back in on Friday. So we move on again. But whoever he puts across his back three, back five, back four, have got to be a lot better than that collectively, because that's what's letting Villa down. I know we've still got a click in attack. And what did he say? £100 million strike force?
Yeah.
Something was it today?
Ish.
Didn't look like it that often. Jared Bowen today has easily outshone Villa's two wide men. Got the pace and trickery, whereas I don't know. I was really disappointed with Bailey and Buendia. But again,
they're settling in, aren't they, still, I think? And we've played rubbish, so it's difficult to judge when we're so poor, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, I'm done anyway.
Yeah, I'm so done.
It's horrible, isn't it?
There'll be some kind of midweek podcast. I'm off Tuesday and Thursday, so it won't be me. Many people will be glad to know, and I just don't care about doing one of these again anyway. So we'll get Ash to talk about it with some actual football knowledge and see what he thinks about the manager. See whether he... Also, before we move on, there's a few people saying about Potter being a Villa fan. Do we know if that's true, by the way? I know he's from Solihull, but that's not making him a Villa fan.
I think his family are Blue Noses, to be honest.
Okay, cool. So that's worked out then. We'll call it a day there. Like I said, there'll be some kind of midweek podcast anyway. Again, I guess it'll be you and me on next Friday night to talk about hopefully 3 points. But if it's not, it'll be another depressing one, won't it? So that'll be fun. Thanks for all the comments, for tuning in. There's 700 people watching, which is probably one of our highest ever. So yeah, most people, pretty nice in the comments, but a few nasty ones. I've blocked somebody, so enjoy that. Matt, thank you very much for your time, as always. It's been a Halloween horror show, I think Ash called it. So yeah, let's get out of here, and we'll see you again later in the week. Thank you for listening to Claret Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, up the Villa.